Good morning. Today, my friends and I are going to introduce our COA final project. We have developed versions of game known as maths game or mathematical games. The stimulator that we use is mouse 4.5 stimulator, and our system is menu-driven system, and the user has to choose the type of questions he wants to play before enter the games. And our games consist of 4 types of questions, including additions, subtractions, divisions, and multiplications. And next, my friend Hong will explain about the codes.
Hi, my name is Hong Zhenye and I will explain about the additional part. First, we have this conditional jump, meaning that if S0 equals to S1, you exit the program. S1 is 5, and then S0, I will explain it later on. This statement states that the first random number is generated and the upper limit is 100. So the first random generated number will be stored into T0, and then it will print the first random generated number, and then it will print string this plus sign, and then a second random generated, and then it will do a second random generated number. Also, the upper limit is 100. And then the second random generated number will be moved into T1, and the integer will be printed out. Then the string equal sign will also be printed out, and then the computer will do the addition calculation. T1 plus T0 equals to T2. Then it will continue printing out this choice 1, this symbol, and then it will get the input from the user. After that, the answer from the user, the input, will be stored into T3, and then after that, we will print this display answer, that is this one, and then we will print the integer, that is the correct answer calculated by the computer, T2, as mentioned above, into the A0, and it will print out the answer. It will print out the T2. Then it will print this string, that is n-line, and then if the input of the user is same as the answer calculated by the computer, then it will jump to the correct function. If not, the loop counter and quest counter will be added by 1. Thank you.
So hi, I'm Yap. I'm gonna explain how our accumulator works. So in the correct function, you can see that S2 is the correct counter in one section. S3 is the total correct answer for the whole games. S4 is the total question answered in the whole games. For S0 is the total counter for one section, so the limit is only to 5. So the player only can play 5 questions out. So for ST7 is the slot where at first the player will insert 1, 2, 3, or 4 for those sections, right? So the program will see that if 1, it will go back to addition. If 2, it will go back to subtraction. 3 will go back to multiplication. So in the exit function right here, every time you complete a section, it will see out. It will print out how many out of 5 questions you answered. This A0, S2 is how many questions you answer correctly. So like you answered 2 questions correctly. Okay, get it? So we will proceed to continue games. Okay, in continue games, you will see that it will ask you like, do you wish to continue? Press Y or the capital letter Y to continue. So you will either choose Y or anything. So it is auto read system. So if you insert Y, then he will go back to the menu. If you not insert Y or something like N or 1, 2, 3, 4, it will straightly cancel or exit the program. That's all. Thank you very much.
Okay, I'm Roger. I'm going to explain the multiplication part. With the by equal, we ignore it after we expand. Then we're going to run the random number for multiplications, then 0 to 100. Then same as the addition and the subtractions, we will move the A1, A0 to T0, and the A and the second number for the random number and move it to T1s. Okay, we show the questions to the user, then we'll multiply it. Because it's multiplication, so if we move to low register part, so we need to move the low register to T2. So after that, we're going to let the user to input the values, the answer. Then we display the answer for the user, true answer to the user. Then after that, it will equal it if the answer of the user is equal to the answer to the true answer for the machine runs is equal, this is going to correct functions. And if not, you will going to add the 1 to the S0, that is loop counter, then S4, that's a question counter. Then you jump back to multiplications. That's if the S0 is equal to S1, that's 5, number 5, you're going to exist. If not, we're going to loop the function again. Thank you.
Hello, I'm Hojia, and now I will introduce the division function of our program. So all of these instruction basically is doing the same as addition, subtraction, and multiplication. The only difference is here. What this instruction do is basically you take the number in T1 and you divide it by the number in T0, and then the quotient will be stored in low register, and then the remainder will be stored in the high register. So at FLO, this forward it means move from low register to T2, and then this one is move from high register to T3. So now T2 will contain the quotient and T3 will contain the remainder. So this series of instruction, what it's basically doing is to ask the user to input the quotient value. This one is to input the value of remainder. And now this all series of instruction is to display the answer in quotient and remainder form. So okay, if the user got it correct on quotient part, it will jump to the correct core function. If the user is not, then the system will consider the whole question as wrong, and then it will only doing the loop counter and quest counter only. Okay, so if the user is correct, it will go to the correct core function. So we come to the correct core. So the system will again check if the user is correct on the remainder part or not. If it is correct, then it will go to the correct red part. If it's not, it will doing the system will again consider user as wrong, and then you doing the loop counter and total question counter only. So now we go to the correct red. So if the user is correct, you add the correct counter, total correct counter, total quest counter, and loop counter by 1, and then you jump into the division, and the question is repeated by 5 times. So recall that our friend, he has just describe the program can run forever is when user press Y if Y, and then the big small and big Y. So in the event that the user chooses not to continue the game anymore, now the program will display the total question the user has attempted, and then the total correct the user has got, and then it will jump to the grading function. So now we go to the grading function. What this grading function is basically do is just to divide to get the percentage of the user got correct by dividing total correct with total question, and then it will give out the percentage, and then from the percentage we compare it by 1 by 1. So okay, now I'll describe a little bit. So MDC1 is what it does is to take the value in S3, and then it will move into coprocessor 10, which is here, and then it will convert from word into floating to single precision floating point. So now we F1 contains the single precision floating point of F10 is total question floating point. This one also doing the same thing. Now we come to here. Okay, I have to refer to grade A. Grade A is here. Grade A is grade A is floating data of 0.1. So grade A also represents 0.1 floating point. So now we move that to the function, and then here. Okay, so now what this instruction do is to so now this f1 is represented by 0.1, f2 is represents 0.3. Then we'll come to here div.s. What it basically do is to divide the f10 and f11 and store the floating point into f12. So now we come to here. What this all instruction do is to compare the f12 with the f1, f2, f3, f4, so on, and then it will set the flag in 0 to true if it is correct. So now this instruction, it will branch to level 1 if the flag in this one is true. So if it's false, and then it will keep comparing until it will keep comparing. So if the level 1 is true, it will go to the level 1, and then the level 1 you display the string, and then you go to the end. So we come to the end and you do the program as it. That's all. Thank you.
Now I will show you the demo of our products. User can enter 1, 2, 3 or 4 to select the type of question they want to do, and 1 for additions. And now I simply insert the answer. After answer 5 questions, they will tell you how many questions you have been done correctly, and press Y to continue. Basically 1, 2, 3 is almost the same, but 4 divisions is a little bit different with other questions, because you need to enter questions and remainder. If one of them is answered wrongly, consider the whole question is wrong. After 5 questions, if you want to create the system, you can press any key other than Y. After quit the system, they will tell you how many questions you have been attempted and how many questions you have been done correctly, and show the level. Okay, thank you. That's all.